Now, this is Medhi Hasan. All right, he's a bit of a retard as well. I am going to show you Piers Morgan debating Randy Fine in a minute. But Medhi Hasan, he is an Islamist, extremist, radical fuckboy extraordinaire. He thinks all non-Muslims are cattle. He said that directly multiple times. So actually, I'm very excited. They did like a whole debate where essentially Medhi Hasan is screaming and crying that everyone's a racist, and that's why they want to deport Muslims.
Come on, Piers. This is a man who rants about shark attacks, who talked about Arnold Palmer's penis at a rally, who did an impression of someone doing oral sex on a microphone at a ralley.
Oh no, Donald Trump made a joke. We have to kill him now. This is the left in a nutshell.
No president like this. I hate George W. Bush, but I would put George Bush 100 times above Donald Trump in terms of intellectual and mental fitness for office. You cannot question any...
Again, he never questioned Biden's mental fitness.
Democrats' intellectual fitness for office when you have supported this man, the most deranged man.
For the record, this is him trying to defend how AOC thought that Venezuela was below the equator.
Words, deranged, mad, nuts man in office.
Just to be clear,
this is a man who couldn't find Taiwan on a map if his life depended on it.
Medhi, here's the problem. I'm afraid, listen, you know I like you, I respect you very much. You've built an amazing...
I don't. I think he's a retard and he should get deported.
Business.
He's an anti-American fuck who said that make American planes crash again. Nope, quite literally don't care.
Congratulations. But one of the reasons Donald Trump got re-elected is that you guys have got literally Trump derangement syndrome.
True.
It plays into his hands. I prefer to be more even-handed with him. I prefer to praise him when he deserves it, and I prefer to whack him when he doesn't. When you're so blindly enraged by everything, including silly jokes he says, you're so deranged about him. Actually, in the end, you managed to achieve the unthinkable. You managed to help get Trump re-elected.
Hold on.
He got re-elected with a bigger majority.
Do I get to speak? So, hold on. Let's just deal with a couple of things. The reason he got re-elected, I would argue, is the media gave him a pass. People like you, I came on your show.
The media gave Trump a pass. You think that Donald Trump won the election because the media gave him a pass? Oh my God!
So, on the eve of his election, and you were telling me all sorts of things. Oh, don't call him a Nazi, don't call him a fascist. Meanwhile,
Yeah, don't call him a Nazi. Yeah, because he's not a Nazi.
Have masked thugs.
He's not a
Nazi.
Nazi.
Citizens off the street.
Masked thugs! Oh me, oh my!
He's a Nazi.
Blood.
No!
Shooting.
He's not a Nazi.
People wearing masks because the leftist terrorists are trying to kill them and their families. Oh no! We need to let the leftists kill them and their families. I support that, says Medhi Hasan, as a radical Muslim himself.
Right about his fascism. You were wrong about his fascism.
But this guy actually thinks Trump is a fascist. It's unbelievable.
I was right that he would try and stay in office in 2021. You were wrong about that. His people are shooting Americans.
He didn't stay in office in 2021.
Everything that I said would happen in a second.
He's wrong about everything, and then he just repeats it. He's like, I told you he was Hitler. He's literally Hitler.
He didn't stay in office.
Piers, and you said he was
he's not a Nazi, and he's not a fascist.
Oh, my God. Piers, you, in January 2021, accused him of trying to stay in office. You said he sent an armed mob to the Capitol. You said he should be removed from office, never be president again. You changed your tune once he got back to the presidency. I get that. That's fine. I've been right about everything I've said about Trump. And as for being Trump derangement syndrome, it's the very opposite. Even I didn't think he'd be trying to start a war with Denmark. Even I didn't think he'd be...
He's not trying to start a war with Denmark. Denmark should just give us Greenland. There won't be a war.
Shooting Americans in the street.
He's not shooting Americans in the streets. Americans are committing suicide by cop.
14 months into his presidency. Even I didn't think he'd be this corrupt on this level so openly. So in fact, he's been much worse than those of us who allegedly have TDSs. You have TDS, Piers. You have Trump denial syndrome. When I say to you, is Trump racist? You say, no, he's not racist. Even though he calls Somalis low IQ, Piers.
Oh my God! Donald Trump is a racist because he calls Somalis low IQ. All right, I feel like we saw enough of this guy. The more this guy talks, I feel like my IQ drops just being in proximity of someone that's been inbred for that many generations. So apparently Donald Trump called Somalis low IQ, which is proof that Donald Trump is racist. Except there's one little issue with this statement, and that is that Somalis are low IQ. All right, you can call him racist, but you can't call him a liar. Asmongold responded. He called them low IQ because the average IQ in Somalia is 68, borderline retarded. It's not racist, it's a fact. Another pathetic attempt to obscure reality and push a narrative. Absolute cinema. Absolute cinema. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. Asmongold watches the Nuxenor channel. Let's freaking go. Anyway, this is stuff I've been saying for a very long time, all right? I recently told this to Tectone and he lost his shit. They actually do have an average IQ of 68. This is a real thing. It's not controversial to say it. And listen, I'm not blaming them. They were just inbred for 1,400 years. It's not their fault. It's not their fault. All right? No, you're not allowed to say they're inbred. Well, you come up with a different term for fucking your family and then producing retarded children. Okay, what do you want me to say? That's the reality, whether you like it or not. Hasan responds, of course. He's also inbred, so obviously he's offended. You are an illiterate shut-in for believing this easily disprovable white supremacist cope. Except he didn't disprove it because it's true. Your favorite pedophile protecting president has the intellectual capacity of an infant. Except it's the left that's really the pedophile protectors these days. It's really not the right, if anyone wanted to be intellectually honest. And then you just look at the responses, it's amazing. Illiterate shut-in, white supremacist pedophile protecting intellectual capacity of an infant. Bro, you are just buzzwords. You are just buzzwords. Again, this comes from Hasan Piker, pro-pedophile extraordinaire. Remember, this guy supports, Hasan Piker supports Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis. He actually straight up supports all the pedophiles in the Middle East. All right, he does his absolute best to support those guys. All right, so again, I quite literally don't give a fuck about his lack of moral compass. All right, and if you actually Google it, based in available studies and estimates, the average IQ in Somalia is reported to be around 68. What do you want me to say? Oh no, it's racist! It's racist! Yeah, it's so racist. How dare I note an actual fact, right? Like, again, they're all retarded. That's the only thing they have. So he's so mad at Donald Trump because Donald Trump called Somali people low IQ. Yeah, because they retarded, okay? Get a life. Oh my God, you're so pathetic. So anywho, in my opinion, Tucker Carlson might have become one of the most discredited people in American commentary space in general. Like, from the fact that this dude went from Fox News host anti-radical Islam to radical pro-Islam is fucking insane. So anyway, anywho, to lose it, the point that I'm trying to make is it's really bad for the retards. The retards are having a bad day in general. All right, so this is Piers Morgan debating Randy Fine. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but I wanted to show you a couple
Europeans,
essentially, of over the Muslims versus dogs comment.
I choose my dog. Then you said, I know my first appearance on your show didn't go well for you, but if you want to try again, I'm happy to administer another beating, which I'm very, very pleased to see that you've decided to do that again. Me now having recovered from the first one. The comment you were responding to was by someone who's been on my show a few times, Nerdine Kizwani. She's the co-founder of the pro-Palestinian group Within Our Lifetime. She wrote this: finally, NYC is coming to Islam. Dogs definitely have a place in society, just not as indoor pets. Like we've said all along, they are unclean. She later clarified, also clearly trying to weigh in on an issue unaware of the current NYC discourse, where we're collectively jokingly hating on dogs, given all the visible dog shit and the unmelted snow, laughing my ass off, followed by laughing my ass off at the Zionists frothing at the mouth of this, thinking they're doing something.
The
it's
Zionists,
a joke.
The Zionists are pro-dog. You can't even make this up.
If you have a dog, I do care if your dog is shitting everywhere and you're not cleaning it. So she says she made a glib comment, which is intended as a joke. I certainly read it that way. But your response, the reason it enraged people so much, was just so brazenly bigoted. You made no attempt to hide it. The choice between dogs and Muslims is not a difficult one.
True.
Explain what possessed you to do that.
Well, thanks, Piers. First, I would sort of clarify what's actually occurred here. That woman made that comment. There was nothing funny. There was nothing sarcastic about it. It said, finally, Islam is coming to New York. Dogs are unclean, and we should not have dogs as indoor pets. No reasonable interpretation could find that funny.
True.
Several days later, after millions of people had seen it, she tried to backtrack by saying that it was a joke. And my response was clearly in response to that. And you left out the important part of it. I said, if they force us to choose, I don't want to choose. If Muslims want to be in the United States and they want to practice their religion and go to mosque, that's great. But if they make us choose, as this woman would like us to, between owning a dog and having our neighbors say you can't have a dog, The choice is not a difficult one, I think, for me and the overwhelming majority of Americans. I think that's simple. I don't know how in this country, that's exactly what I said. And I don't know how in this country we reach the point where not only do we have to let people come here, but we then have to change how we live in order to make them happy. I don't agree with that, and I'm not ashamed of saying it.
But you see, if only you had phrased yourself exactly how you've just phrased yourself,
you might offend a Muslim if you phrase your tweet in a way they don't
because you qualified it by saying Muslims who hate. Well, no, you just qualified it by saying something you didn't actually say. You said Muslims who hate dogs or whatever. You qualified it. Actually, what you tweeted,
literally said that. Hello?
Repeat the whole thing in full. If they force us to choose the choice between dogs,
he phrased it perfectly. If forced to choose between dogs and Muslims, I choose dogs. Yes, absolutely. We should not be importing people to our countries that want to take away our liberties and our rights and our society. What are we talking about?
And Muslims is not a difficult one. As Alexandra...
I feel like the left is only just like, it's a big knotted group of emotions and word games. Like, are we serious?
Ocasio-Cortez said about what you said. This is genuinely one of the most disgusting statements.
No, AOC, who thinks cowboys were invented by Mexico, all right, and not from Europe. All right, AOC, who thinks Venezuela is below the equator. All right, she thinks that he's bigoted.
Ever seen issued by an American official. It should not stop shocking us that the Republican Party openly embraces this. Fines should be censored and stripped of committees. To ignore this is to accept and normalize it. Gavin Newsom,
are you serious?
California governor, said, "Resign now, you
read
racist
Gavin Newsom's comment already, Piers. I think you've read it 3 times now. Look.
Okay,
but
hang on 1 second.
Hang on.
Finish my point.
I need to talk the whole time.
Said we must call this what it is.
I love how he invites people onto the show and he just doesn't let them. He just forces them to listen to his yammering.
Disgusting bigotry. Fine must be censored. It's about morality and decency, not politics. But then, crucially, as I said earlier, Megyn Kelly, who is a prominent conservative commentator,
I understand.
Somebody who would never
said
normally.
This multiple times.
So hang on. No, I'm going to read her whole quote. Somebody who would never normally stand behind any of those 3 people said, "What I figured out, you pathetic, sweaty man, is when an idiot Muslim says no dogs in NYC, instead of attacking the person or the policy, you went full bigot. Fuck off," she said. Now, that's the truth. It's the way...
Bro, we don't care. We don't care, okay? If I had to choose between importing people to our country... or not importing but they want to control our life, or not importing them into our country, I wouldn't import them into our country. It's that simple. Yes, I would pick dogs.
You phrased what you posted, gave no equivocation.
Okay, so let me ask you.
Bro doesn't stop.
No.
Pierce Morgan's just a male Karen. This is insane.
Let me ask
you simply said dogs against
Piers,
Muslims.
Are you going to? I know it's your show, and I try to be respectful, but I'd like a chance to speak. What you didn't do is, in my post, I immediately posted the comment that I was responding to. So the context was there, and it was obvious for anyone who wanted to read it. The comment's not being made out of the blue. I'd also note, I'm not saying that Muslims or dogs are better than one or the other. I'm saying if you give me the choice where I can only have one, if you're going to tell me I have to change how I live, I choose to tell you to go home. And look, if people are upset about it, that's up to them. But the point remains true. I don't want to make that choice. And look, these people can lose their minds.
Dude, if society is so much better in Pakistan, fucking stay there. Okay, if Pakistan is better because they don't have dogs, live there, bro. Rape your dolphins on your own turf, okay?
AOC can go to Germany.
So let me ask you this.
This is a bunch of gibberish.
All right. So let me ask you this. Let me ask you a question. What religion do you practice?
I am Jewish, and I would note this: I do not expect people to change how they live because I am part of a religious minority. I don't.
Fine. Okay. So would you say the same thing? If somebody posted, if they force us to choose, the choice between dogs and Jews is not a difficult one.
Jews aren't coming into your countries trying to force you to get rid of your dogs. All right? Jews don't eat bacon. Jews don't try to ban bacon. Jews don't eat on Yom Kippur. All right? Jews don't force people not to eat. All right? Muslims specifically are imported en masse, and they take over Times Square in Ramadan, and they get mad when you eat, and they're mad when you have a dog, and they're mad when you preach the gospel or whatever.
That's a great question. Absolutely. Yes. But the difference here is that Jews are not asking people to give up their dogs. Jews don't eat pork, but we don't tell people that they can't sell it. One of the things that people are learning through all of this is this dislike of dogs is not unique. This is
all Jews really want is just to dominate and control the United States government secretly with a shadowy cabal from within. We're not like that invasive or anything.
A mainstream Islamic view, and I'm not criticizing it. Different religions like different animals. Hindus worship cows. Good for them. Muslims don't like dogs. That's okay. I'm not criticizing that. But they are the ones asking us to submit to their faith. And that's not okay in the United States of America. There are 57 countries where you can live under Sharia law. It's my job to make sure we don't become number 58.
Based. Anyway, Piers Morgan spends another 20 minutes basically blathering about calling him a racist and stuff like that. But the point that I'm trying to make is essentially, the left is out of options because you can call me racist, but you can't call me a liar. You can scream, you can yell, but quite literally, I don't fucking care. I choose the dogs. All right.